Christian Horner and Ferrari, it actually occurred. An informal but concrete contact, it's not journalistic fantasy, nor is it information without foundation. This is reported by Bild, a German newspaper very close to the internal movements of the paddock. According to what has leaked, the Ferrari executives would have sounded out Horner a few weeks ago, during the technical and managerial crisis that defined the initial part of the season for the Rossa. If you enjoyed the videos, please hit like to support me. Let's get started now. The reason is simple. Ferrari is dissatisfied. The progress promised by Vasseur is not coming as expected. And if Leclerc continues to get everything out of an incomplete package, it's clear that in Maranello they are wondering if a stronger technical and political leadership is needed. Horner, despite being divisive, embodies this sentiment. Be cautious, as this is not a formal offer. The contact was exploratory to test the waters, but the fact that it happened says it all. Ferrari is considering alternatives also because Horner's contract with Red Bull expires in 2026. And despite the recent boost after the victory at Imola, his position at Milton Keynes is far from secure. Just 2 weeks ago, Red Bull was preparing for the post-Horner era with Franz Tost and Oliver Oakes in the running. And behind the scenes, there's still talk of internal friction. The partnership with Ford, which will begin in 2026, is one of the anchors that could keep him there. But his relationship with part of the board has never really solidified. The fact that Ferrari tried even just to test the availability is a strong signal. Vasseur is under discussion. And if the next updates do not overturn the technical picture, the idea of a change at the top might not remain just a hypothesis. Also, Horner has won everything, for better or worse. And Maranello really needs someone who knows how to win, not just survive. Ferrari finishes Monaco with a second place that feels like a missed opportunity. Again, Leclerc does his best with a car that continues to not be up to par. Hamilton finishes 5th, but the point is just 1. Red Bull and McLaren remain unbeaten in qualifiers, with Charles nearly pulling off a miracle. But when you have a car that gives you nothing extra, the slightest mistake or a pole taken by Norris condemns you. In Monte Carlo, if you don't start first, you've already lost. Leclerc gave it his all. He's living the best years of his career with a car that doesn't even allow him to really compete. If he drove for Red Bull or McLaren, he would be a champion today. If this continues, he risks becoming the new Alessi, beloved but eternally unfinished. And frankly, for someone like him, it would be a crime. The Monaco Grand Prix is a catwalk. Everything is decided on Saturday. You can't overtake in the race. The SF25 cars are too wide, long and fast, making them inconsistent.
Alternating, no.
Is clear in its behavior. It's not predictable. It's not a championship car. It never has been. The strategy still doubts. Vasseur stays away from the glaring mistakes of the past, but it's not enough to just not make mistakes. You need to dare. You need a winning mentality. Charles was left on the track too long before the first stop. Lewis, on the other hand, had good timing, but it's clear that the courage to take risks is still lacking. Sometimes you make the difference with a call to the box. Norris did what he had to do. Pole control. Perfect victory. Verstappen tried to slow him down to give Charles an attack window. It didn't work, but the attempt was there. Mercedes, on the other hand, simply did not show up. Disastrous weekend. And then there's Vasseur, once again laughing and toasting with McLaren after the defeat. Enough, it's not a personal matter, but if you represent Ferrari, there's a way to behave. Compliments and handshakes are fine, but don't intrude on others' celebrations. Ferrari is respect, it's rivalry, it's an obsession with winning. This lovey-dovey atmosphere is ridiculous. And let's talk about the pit wall. Williams play to slow down the others to allow their teammate to pit without losing positions. Calculated strategy, manipulation, your choice. The SF25 remains a mystery, a machine that seems to be designed by different departments that communicate no consistency, no clear direction. And now we go to Barcelona, where on paper something new should arrive. But the feeling is that much more than a technical update is needed to really change the course. Hamilton and Ferrari, a pair that doesn't work. After a third of the season, it's clear that the Lewis effect has not brought about any revolution. The SF25 appears to have regressed from last year. In Monaco, Leclerc dominated on his home track. But the problem isn't just technical, it's communicative. The race radio teams confirm this. Hamilton is disoriented, the messages are cold, cryptic, sometimes surreal. He, who has been speaking in code with Bono at Mercedes for years, seems to be speaking another language with Adami today. He has managed to adapt. He brought Angela Cullen to recreate his environment. He made the effort to fit in, but something is not right. And it was seen in the first quarter. Penalty for impeding on Verstappen after a wrong call from the box. Adami tells him Max slowed down, but he was actually on his fastest lap. 3 penalty positions, a huge damage to the team strategy. In the race, he recovers, finishes 4th, but at the end of the race, he declares that he did not understand what he was fighting for. Only after seeing the data did he get the complete picture. Translated, the most experienced and winning driver in history ran blindly. Unacceptable. The problem is structural. A heavy technical figure is needed to control and coordinate the work of the race engineers. A Ross Brown, one who does not just observe but intervenes, who imposes a clear line. Because without technical leadership, even the best go astray. And then there's the brake issue. Hamilton is not comfortable with the material. BREMBO used by Mercedes has been causing Lewis to complain about the system's unpredictability since the season began. In Imola, he called it a lottery, and Brembo had to publicly intervene to defend its own image. When a supplier has to step in to respond to your driver, it means that the discontent has become unmanageable. The reality is this: Hamilton is struggling, not because he is not motivated, but because at this moment Ferrari is not able to provide him with the context to be competitive. The worst part is that they are isolating him instead of enabling him to perform at his best. A technical and human response is crucial in Barcelona. Losing Hamilton means not only losing points but also credibility. And Ferrari can't afford that. Ferrari ends the first third of 2025 with numbers that don't tell the whole truth. A pole, a sprint won in China, 2 podiums, Jeddah and Monaco. But technically, this SF25 has never really been competitive enough to win a world championship. The 4th place in the constructors' standings confirms it. Keeping it alive is Leclerc, Mercedes and Red Bull inconstant but still ahead. But a less visible aspect can change everything. The technical directive TD018 on flexible wings comes into effect in Barcelona. A sharp targeted blow, mainly at Red Bull and perhaps McLaren, to remove hidden advantages in the most sensitive area of aerodynamics. If Ferrari is right, an opportunity will open up there, but a car that can take advantage of it is needed, and today it's not there. And then there's the most important strategic variable of 2025. The aero testing regulation is the system that regulates how many wind tunnel tests and computational fluid dynamics simulations you can do during the year. The lower your ranking, the more room for development you have. It's like a reverse technical handicap. In the first half of the year, Ferrari had 75% of the available test time compared to the reference team. 1,500 computational fluid dynamics items compared to the 2,000 of the 7th force. It's not much, but everything changes from the 1st of July. A new semester begins. If Ferrari remains 4th or worse, it will get more wind tunnel time and computational fluid dynamics resources. Not for this SF25, but for the 2026 project. Yes, because 2026 will be a revolution. PUs, aerodynamics, and priorities change, putting everything at stake. The additional tests available in late 2025 are a valuable resource to be utilized, and this has been recognized at Maranello. The priority is already the single-seater of the future, codename 678 for real updates won't arrive before Silverstone. From July, everything will shift to 2026. The SF25 will be brought to the finish line in the best possible way without wasting resources. It's a quiet downsizing, but necessary. The world dream is already archived. Now we work to not repeat the mistake of 2022, 2023, chasing the present and throwing away the future. Ferrari can no longer afford to lag behind in the technical cycle, and if it has to sacrifice second place in the 2025 Constructors, it will.
We'll do it because
today the real goal is not to beat Red Bull or McLaren in the ongoing World Championship. It's to reset everything and arrive in 2026 with a winning project already ready by February. Audi in Formula 1 is no longer just a promise, it's an ongoing process. And now it has a face, Mattia Binotto. The former Ferrari team principal today leads the transformation of Sauber into the official team of the Four Rings. The operation goes beyond colors and logos, it's about DNA. Today the team is named Stake Formula 1 Team Kick Sauber. But behind the scenes, the red, grey Audi is everywhere. The Sauber is already Audi, just not yet on the calendar. And Binotto is not there to accompany the process, he's there to shape it. As Chief Information Officer, Chief Technology Officer, and the figurehead of a project, he aims to lead Audi from no Formula 1 wins to triumph. The point is clear. Build infrastructure, processes, culture from scratch. The challenge is huge. It's not enough to paint a client team and hope. Audi aims to become a genuine manufacturer within 5 years, 3 to establish and 2 to strengthen its position. His words at Imola, while they were celebrating the 600 Grand Prix Sauber with Peter in person. Binotto has drawn the line. The past ends here, the future has begun, and it will be 100% Audi, but it takes time. Binotto clearly says it, you can't win by building quickly. And he cites the example he knows best. Ferrari's Jean Todt took 7 years to win the title, McLaren took 5 just to become competitive again. And Audi will do the same. New buildings, more staff, more internal production capacity, and then the simulator. It's not enough to just buy it, it needs to be made operational, calibrated, made reliable. And the wind tunnel, a solid structure but with an old methodology, needs to be revolutionized. However, Audi does not limit itself to Switzerland. The Sauber Motorsport Technology Center United Kingdom is about to be born, an English base to attract British talents and gradually integrate them into the in-wheel headquarters. Binotto makes it clear. Switzerland is a good place to live, but technical credibility is needed to convince the best to follow you. That's why Jonathan Whitley and major sponsors have arrived, and engineers will also come. It's just the beginning, but what can we expect from 2025? No illusion, Audi wants to grow, but the focus is already all on 2026. The new regulation is mature but won't eliminate differences. Initially, there will be a clear gap between those who are ready and those who aren't. Binotto understands that the Audi power unit won't be the best immediately, but the direction is correct. The foundation is solid, and in the long term, the convergence of performance will do its part. The key issue will be engine development. The Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile is considering an ATR, type balance for the power units. More bench time and trial and error for teams lagging behind, not a higher budget cap. Already planned, it just needs to be formalized, and it will be crucial for Audi. On the technical front, Binotto is clear the Audi innovation will not only be on the car, it will be organizational. Modern Formula One requires a structure that separates operational management from Grand Prix and central strategy. He will oversee the Wheatley Company for the championship, serving 2 key roles. It's an innovative approach to Formula One. And on the technological front, Audi will have the opportunity to differentiate itself with 100% sustainable gasoline, both biofuel and e-fuel. And yes, there will be a gasoline battle. Whoever can optimize the fuel will have a key advantage in performance and reliability. Binotto clearly says the 2026 engine will be more complex than any other power unit ever seen in Formula One. And it's not just the power that's worrying, but the reliability. Audi's cultural leap is measured by the invaluable know-how that can only be built through trial and error, not bought. In the end, it's not a matter of fear or hope, it's vision. Audi has chosen the hardest path, entering the most competitive championship in the world at a time when everything is changing. Binotto is the man who has already lived through revolutions, and this time he wants to win it, not just participate. McLaren won Monaco on Saturday with an out-of-the-box strategy, and a car that even on an atypical track like Monte Carlo continues to show impressive solidity. Lando Norris made the pole using 2 Q3 attempts on the same tire. Soft C6, a risky choice. That compound continues to be unpredictable, and McLaren understood before others how to exploit it. The second lap on slightly worn C6 worked better than the first result pole, and from there, written victory. Stella made it clear the MCL39 performs at its best when the tire has already entered the window. It's not a random strategy, but the result of data. And it confirms that today, McLaren is the team that best interprets tire management in qualifying. Ferrari is only a 10th behind, as expected. Monaco has always favored the red team. No setup compromises, no high-speed corners, just traction and insertion. The SF25 appears to breathe again, but it's merely an illusion. McLaren remains ahead in overall pace, even though in Monte Carlo, the clear superiority of other weekends was not seen. And here comes into play a factor that could rewrite the balances, the technical directive TD018 on flexible wings arriving in Spain. McLaren, in theory, should be among the teams affected. How has Mercedes benefited in these months from the flexing of the wing groups, especially the front one? Already in Imola, Mercedes has intervened. Ferrari will do the same. In Barcelona, McLaren officially says it is not worried. But something stirs beneath the surface. In Jeddah, they tested a modified diffuser, then never used again. In Monaco, they brought a rear wing not at maximum load. Unusual thing in a citizen. Clear clues. The Woking team is experimenting. They are collecting data in view of Spain. No major update for now, but everything indicates that they are preparing a package to launch after the directive will be effective. It's a subtle game working behind the scenes to adapt in advance. If the TD018 really hits, McLaren won't be caught unprepared. On the contrary, it might have already planned everything to overcome it without losing advantage. That's why between Austria and Silverstone we might see the real leap. Whoever adapts better to the new regulatory limits will make the difference. Because this directive will not remove the load from everyone, it will only remove the easy one. And those who have a solid base like McLaren will be able to recalibrate without losing performance. For Ferrari and Mercedes, it will be the decisive test. If the new packages don't work right away, the gap risks widening again. Currently, the true race is not on the track but in the simulators, computational fluid dynamics and precise measurements of the new wings. McLaren knows this and may have already taken the first step forward. McLaren has a problem: two very strong drivers, too close together. After 8 GPs, Oscar Piastri is the world leader, but Lando Norris is only 3 points behind. This hasn't occurred in 15 years since Hamilton and Button were teammates with similar dynamics. And in the end, someone else won, Red Bull with Vettel. A Monaco Lando won her second race of the season, Oscar third. The two end up at the championship's top, separated by a slim margin. But the truth is that McLaren today is the only team with 2 real title contenders. Verstappen is there, but 25 points behind. Ferrari alternates between podium weekends and races where it chases Mercedes. Gone. But watch out. The previous 2010 is clear. McLaren was the leader halfway through the year. Then the title goes to whoever comes from behind. Today Max, yesterday Vettel. History is unforgiving. When you have 2 strong drivers and you don't decide who to bet on, you risk losing with both. The key point is whether McLaren can handle the internal pressure. As Leclerc and Hamilton aren't concerned with each other, Verstappen is on his own, while Piastri and Norris are in conflict. Cold, silent, but real. The gestures, radios, and body language post-race reveal the intensity of one of the most balanced world struggles in a decade. There is no designated lead, no orders, just pure speed, but watch out for who's coming from behind. Because at this point in the season, statistically speaking, who is in the lead? After 8 GPs, they have won the World Championship in 10 out of 14 cases. But the 4 exceptions hurt, the last one. 2017 Vettel. Ahead after 8 races, Hamilton champion at the end of the year. In 2025, there are still 16 GPs and 4 sprints. No one can afford to make a mistake, and especially McLaren, because the last time it had such a strong car was in 2012. It can't waste it anymore. But if the internal battle explodes, the real winner will be Red Bull or Ferrari. If they find continuity, Norris and Piastri are the strongest yet most unstable duo in the World Championship. From here to Suzuka, the team or the track will decide. Red Bull lost Monaco, but not the championship. This is the message between the lines from Horner after the Principalities weekend. The team knew it would be a difficult Grand Prix. Track unsuitable for the RB21 risky strategies, 0 overtakes. And in fact, Horner says it clearly, we rolled the dice. Verstappen tried the long undercut on Tsunoda. He did the opposite pit on the first lap, hoping for a strategic chaos that never came. Everyone slowed down, everyone managed, no one played the game. Red Bull. But the point is another. 25 points behind Piastri, Verstappen is perfectly in the race. And that number 25 is not random. It's exactly the value of a victory. The minimum gap needed to say we are still in. Red Bull has done the math, played defensively and held on. Why? Because the real championship begins in Barcelona with the arrival of the Technical Directive 018, the one that aims to limit the use of flexible wings. Horner admitted it directly, without hesitation. Being 25 points behind in the standings before the directive was our goal. And translated, they factored in losing ground. They planned a conservative start to the season, knowing that from Barcelona the regulations would change and would hit others more than them. The 2025 Red Bull is not as dominant as its predecessors, but it's sharp and playing a chess game. The choice to sacrifice Monaco, a historically difficult track, was part of the plan. They didn't waste resources, they managed, and now they arrive in Spain with tactical and technical margin. But be careful, if the RB21 flies again in Barcelona, the strategy will have been perfect. If the TD018 blow is heavier than expected, the championship could slip through their hands. McLaren and Ferrari are growing, and in between them, Verstappen no longer has any margin for error. Monaco was a round played in defense. The first real attack starts from Montmeló. Formula 1 wants to race in Thailand, and now comes the official confirmation. During the Monaco weekend, the Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra met Stefano Domenicali and described the meeting as a big step forward towards a Grand Prix in Bangkok. The goal is to bring Formula 1 to the country by 2028 on a city circuit at night in full Singapore style. The announcement was published directly by the official channels of the Thai government. A formal proposal is coming with a feasibility study and tourist impact ready to be submitted to Parliament as early as next week. The potential is enormous. The government has openly spoken about the 600 million viewers of Formula 1 and a massive economic return between tourism and investments. Bangkok will be the next Asian night race, or is it just another project that will remain on paper? If you like the video, hit like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next ones. Let me know what you think in the comments and see you next time.